A young truck driver and his colleagues were robbed on the road. Without money to buy food and not knowing what to do, he was surprised by the last person he expected. Little Joel was a huge fan of his truck driver father. His mother had died during childbirth, and his father was his only family. It was with him that the boy learned to love trucks. That huge vehicle was like an amusement park for the boy. He spent hours admiring them, and his favorite toys were miniatures of them. But his old man taught him many other important things, including compassion, kindness, and charity. The life of a truck driver was tough, and his father spent days traveling, often leaving the boy at the neighbor's house so he wouldn't miss school. When he was on vacation, little Joel hit the road with his dad. It was his favorite vacation program. The boy did well in school, always getting good grades. But he was one of the humblest students in school. He didn't have as much financial support as most of his classmates, but his sympathy and kindness won everyone over, including his teachers. He always told everyone he would be a truck driver just like his father, spending his life exploring the roads around the world. The boy really liked and admired that life on the asphalt. It was everything he had ever dreamed of. Unfortunately, his father passed away very early. Joel had just turned 18 and had to learn to fend for himself. But inspiration was not lacking. His father had taught him everything he needed to pursue his profession. The lack of his father was great, but every time he got into a truck, Joel felt the old man's presence, as if he were there to protect him from the dangers of the road. And so, the highways became his life, his source of livelihood, and his greatest passion. But what was a flaw for many was a virtue for him: his compassion for others. He couldn't see anyone asking for help on the road without stopping to help. His friends always criticized him for this attitude. They made fun of him, saying that if he continued like this, he would one day be robbed. But he responded with all his simplicity that if God wanted that to happen, so be it. But he preferred to help those people than to lay his head on the pillow and not be able to sleep, knowing he could have rescued or helped someone but didn't. His colleagues said it was nonsense and that his truck was much more important than any stranger on the side of the road. Joel simply said, "I learned from my father to be like this, and it's part of my essence now. Even if it means taking risks, I will continue to do my part for a better world." One of his friends retorted, "For me, a better world means money in my pocket," and everyone laughed. For a moment, Joel thought his friends might be right, but something in his heart told him he should continue to be just like his father. And so he did, following the example his old man had always given him. He helped many people on the highways by giving rides, changing tires for those who didn't know how, and saving many lives of people who had accidents on the road. There were numerous occurrences of accidents that he assisted and took to a nearby hospital, too many to count. He never asked for anything in return, and oftentimes people offered him money, but he always refused and said that what he had done was nothing more than his obligation as a human being. People were amazed by the young man, and this often made them reflect on how they have been living and what they have done for others. Joel's humble and radiant personality infected everyone, especially when they were in their most vulnerable moments. But for Joel, it was natural. He acted without thinking many times, and before he knew it, he was already helping someone. One day, he and some of his colleagues were hired to transport a load of products to the capital's port. It was a large cargo with considerable value, so they would need to travel in a convoy. On the night before the trip, during the usual chat that he had with his friends, one of them spoke mockingly to Joel, "Tomorrow, I don't want to see you stopping on the road to help anyone. Let's go straight, because the sooner we arrive, the sooner the money goes into Daddy's pocket." Once again, everyone burst out laughing. Joel listened to those words silently. He knew that arguing wouldn't help, as it could create a bad atmosphere between him and his friends. Speaking might be beautiful, but silence would surely be a blessing. After loading the trucks with the products for delivery, they took the highway towards the port for a journey that would take about 3 days. They left early in the morning, all together in a convoy, one after the other. After dark, they stopped at a gas station to refuel the vehicles and had dinner. Then they resumed their journey. Everything was peaceful until about 80 kilometers after leaving the gas station, when several hooded and heavily armed men crossed a vehicle on the road and forced the truck drivers to pull over on the shoulder. D-to-B, the gang leader, stopped for a moment while tying them up, and stared at Joel, looking into his eyes. But soon finished tying them up and said, "Don't try anything funny. We don't usually leave anyone alive, but today is your lucky day." He and his henchmen took the trucks and left. After a few minutes, they managed to untie themselves and went to the shoulder and started asking for help from passing vehicles, but no one stopped to help them. Joel looked at them and said, "Do you see the importance of stopping to help others?" They all looked at each other and agreed with the boy for the first time. They needed to experience it firsthand to learn that valuable lesson. They tried for almost 2 hours with no success, and realizing that no kind soul would stop to help them, they decided to walk back to the gas station, which was almost 80 kilometers away from where they were. After many hours of walking, they spotted a police car and were finally rescued. After making the police report at the station, they tried to pull up the GPS of the vehicles, but the robbers probably used some sort of signal blocker. The truckers were shaken, lost all their belongings, documents, the products they were supposed to deliver to the port, and most importantly, their vehicles, their only source of income for their livelihoods. To make matters worse, none of them had insured their vehicles. This was their biggest regret. For saving a few thousand a year, they put themselves at risk and unfortunately lost everything. Now, with no hope of recovering their vehicles, they had to buy new ones, in addition to bearing the loss of the cargo, since the company did not waive the evaluation money of the goods. Joel arrived home sad, not knowing what to do. He stopped and thought, what am I going to do with my life now? I don't even have money to buy bread. He knelt down and started to pray. At that moment, he heard a noise outside his house. A bright light passed through the living room window, illuminating the whole room. He went out to see what it was, and to his amazement, it was his truck. A hooded man got out of the vehicle and said, "Joel, I couldn't do this to you. I won't identify myself, but I know you help a lot of people on the road. Your reputation as a good man goes beyond what you imagine. Once, you helped my brother on the road and saved his life. I won't go into details, but here's your truck, along with all the cargo that was in it and all your belongings. I'm sorry for the others, but they won't have the same luck. Goodbye." He turned his back, got on a motorcycle waiting for him on the other side of the street and left. Joel couldn't contain his happiness. He was sure that the good he spread throughout the world would somehow return to him, even if not in his lifetime. The next day, he hit the road and delivered the merchandise to the capital's port. Upon returning home, everyone in the small town already knew that he had recovered his truck and everything he had lost. Joel looked at his colleagues and said, "I always told you to do good without expecting anything in return, that one day, all this good would come back even greater for you. But you always laughed when I said that. But I won't let you down. I will buy trucks together with you, but I will be your partner." And so, Joel shared the purchase of the trucks with them and became a partner of each of them. In this way, he started a business unexpectedly, and today he has a fleet of trucks and his company grows more and more each day. The large amount of money he is earning has never gone to his head. On the contrary, today he donates a good portion of his money to charity institutions, especially those aimed at helping orphan children and those in street situations. He got married and shares with his little son the same passion and affection for trucks, as well as teaching the importance of compassion, kindness, and beneficence, just as his late father did with him when he was a child. The other truckers are also doing well, but they are employees of Joel's company. They have already helped many people on these roads after seeing the return of these actions. It was not in the best way, but they learned that we attract the same energies that we emanate in the universe. If the energy is bad, we will only attract bad things. But if it is the energy of good, we will reap the best and sweetest fruits from all over the world.